we're aiming for is that children will read and write independently. But it's your teaching and the way you structure your teaching that enables them to be successful when they read and write independently. The next part of the lecture focuses on the teaching of phonics, and the Rose Review has made the teaching of phonics very central to the teaching of reading. So exploring the simple view of reading, focusing on the strand of word recognition and phonics, I've introduced 3 different games which I want the students to look at in a critical way so that they could take them away and use them in the classroom. I'm demonstrating some possible activities for the teaching of phonics. So now we're going to look at the 2 dimensions of the simple view of reading in a bit more detail. We're going to focus first of all on the axis of word recognition, phonics and decoding. When you're teaching phonics, either as an early years practitioner, observing the children in your early years setting as they make progress towards the early learning goal for linking letters and sounds, or when you're a Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 teacher, planning your literacy work from the Primary National Strategy, Primary Framework for Literacy and Mathematics, you're going to be thinking about both these axes. The phonics axis relates to 2 of the strands of the 12 strands of literacy. Strand 5, word recognition, decoding, and strand 6, word structure and spelling. So it's those at Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 that you'll focus on when you're teaching phonics. So let's think about phonics. Phonic teaching involves the ability for children to understand the alphabetic code. Children need to understand and recognise that we use print to encode a message. That's a conceptual breakthrough when children understand that and come to realise that. They also have to have the ability to segment phonemes for spelling and to blend phonemes for reading. It's really important that you can use the technical vocabulary confidently. Really important that you can use terminology like phoneme and use it accurately. So what is a phoneme? A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a word. It might be represented by 1 letter. In CVC words, each phoneme corresponds to 1 letter, to 1 grapheme. However, there are many words where that relationship isn't so simple, isn't so direct. If you think about the word high, up high, not high, and you think about the I phoneme in the word high, you hear 1 sound, 1 phoneme, but it's represented by 3 letters, I, G, H. It's really important in your phonics teaching that you articulate phonemes accurately. It's very easy to slip in an extra sound, that sound, at the end of a phoneme. Very easy to put a schwa, an unvoiced vowel, at the end. You sometimes hear people saying n. You could spell that N-U-H. But we don't say n, we say m. You don't say m, you say m. You don't say s, you say s. Excellent. So let's test your knowledge of phonemes. I want you to tell the people around you and write on the whiteboard the number of letters there are in the word phoneme. That shouldn't be a problem. And the number of phonemes that there are in the word phoneme.
Okay, 7 letters, phonemes, 5 phonemes.
So everybody agrees, 7 letters, and you can hear 5 phonemes. What does it tell you about principles for teaching phonics? Talk to the person next to you and record one principle for teaching phonics. It's really important for you to hold in your mind.
Spelt in more than one way. And to speak clearly. Yeah, but if you speak clearly as well, you don't put extra sounds. Just so that. Okay.
Three, 2, 1, show me. Excellent, very good. Dave, can you tell us what you've got on your whiteboard?
Yeah, there's no direct relationship between the number of letters and the number of sounds in a word.
Thank you very much. Someone else had a good one over here. I think it was Gemma.
We said that sounds can be represented in more than one way.
Have you got an example of that?
We use the example I. For example, you've got the word I as a capital letter, or IGH, IE, and there's many others.
Thanks very much. So we've got these principles for teaching phonics. Covered several of them. Think also about the letters, the graphemes that you see. Think about the O in phoneme. Sounds like an O in phoneme, but you see that same symbol, that same letter. In other words, it's pronounced in a different way. So the message is that you must be flexible in the relationship between letters and sounds. There are approximately 44 sounds, phonemes in the English language, which we encode in 26 letters. So your teaching must never imply one letter, one sound. Flexibility from the beginning is really important. Okay, we're moving on now to think about the instructions that you'll give to children when you want them to use their phonic knowledge. You hear lots of teachers say, sound it out. We don't want you to say, sound it out. We think that that results in isolated units of sound which are separate. We want you to say something like, blend the phonemes, blend the sounds. I heard a teacher say, smooth the sounds together. That's a really nice way of showing how to blend. I heard a student say, run the sounds together. That's a good instruction. Helps the children to know what to do with their phonic knowledge. What else could you say? Could you fill in the empty speech bubble? Vicky.
We had examples of squash or squish the words together so they know they had to be all together and, sound them out.
Really nice. I like the idea of that squashing and squishing them. So you're bringing them together very quickly. Thank you very much. Okay, so when we're thinking about high-quality phonic teaching, we know it's multisensory. It is not worksheet-driven. It's discrete and it's daily. Needs to be regular in order that children acquire the skills that they need. Has to be well planned, as does all your teaching. The Rose Report says that phonics should be the prime approach to decoding unfamiliar words, because all your phonics teaching is aimed at fluent and fast word recognition, and it needs to be systematic. We're recommending to you programs for the teaching of phonics which follow children's developmental learning sequence. Children hear and say before they have the ability to read and write. So you're looking for a phonics program that starts with children's ability to hear actively sounds in their environment and play with language in terms of rhyming, alliteration, onset and rhyme, to hear and discriminate sounds in words, and all that happens before letters are introduced and attached to phonemes in a formal way. So the first set of bullet points equate to phase 1 in letters and sounds. There are no written symbols in phase 1 of letters and sounds. In letters and sounds, the graphemes, the letters, are introduced at phase 2. So let's have a look at hearing phonemes in words. Let's have a look at the idea of children being able to hear and discriminate individual sounds in words. You always want to start with something familiar, so why not start with children's names? Start with the names of the learners that you're working with. So here we've got a set of learners who I'm working with. And we're playing the odd name out. Now, it's really important. It's not the odd one out, not the odd person out. It's the odd name out. You need to make it clear to the learners that today you're focusing on the ability to hear something the same about all these names. So we've got Rachel and Rosina and Regina and Raj and Fiona and Rachel and Roxy. Your articulation has to be very helpful to enable children to hear and to be able to discriminate the difference between the words you're saying. So now let's think about how children are going to blend phonemes together at a later point in their development when you've introduced some sound-symbol relationships, some phoneme-grapheme correspondences. I'm going to have Susie, Hysin, Joe and Anne to play a full circle game. Hard to say. No idea until it goes next to upside down. Okay. So, full circle is a generic game. You introduce it so that children understand the process of playing the game. And when children understand the process of playing the game, it can be used in a range of different contexts. So it's worth your while to invest your teaching time in activities where you've got a great payoff. So while we're watching a very early version of Full Circle, please think about how you could develop this, how you could extend this, other contexts you could use it in. Okay, so you probably start off with recognising these graphemes, these sounds, and we probably have to say those in turn. The first word we're going to make is the word sat. Can we make the word sat?